Hello everyone, welcome to the February 25th League of Legends DFS slate breakdown. Actually getting this out at a reasonable time, hopefully today actually. Up early today, gotta get some things done, figured I would be somewhat responsible with my schedule and do this before I have to actually do stuff, so excited for that. Hopefully everyone can get the information and ingest it and actually do something with it this time, so glad for that. We actually have very intriguing games in the LPL. I'm excited for all three of these actually. Just when I was looking at names and looking, just getting an idea of the slate, what we're about to be looking at. I'm pretty excited for this one, so let's break it down. But first, we can do a quick rundown of yesterday's games. What I should do is pull up my predictions because not sure if you guys saw them or not, but I tweeted out my predictions and thoughts for these games, but I wasn't able to make a video. The like a Midwest winter storm is hitting us pretty hard, so I wasn't able to get a video out. But I tried to give out some thoughts. As you guys can see, this was 11 Mountain, so this was only like 50 minutes before lock, so I assume like nobody saw it. But the League Ones are down here. I said BLG 2-0, but LPL's been awfully random and being pretty weary. And as you guys can see, where are the scores? Whatever, this will work. BLG got the job done 2-1 over WE. Again, I feel like BLG is a significantly better team. It should really never come down to a third game, I think, here. So that's pretty like disappointing overall. I feel like BLG is slipping pretty heavily. I don't know. There's just something that I have a gut feeling with that team that's just like not ideal. I have a feeling they're going to get bounced pretty early and hard in the playoffs. I just feel like there's too many other teams with too many great players, and it's just problematic. I think somehow, some way, Fofo ends up being kind of elo hell stuck with bad players. I don't know. They had some pretty crazy like breathing gauges on the Gnar. He looked pretty good on those. I don't know. Crisp doesn't seem that great. I don't know. Who's their jungler again? Weiwei. Weiwei doesn't look that great. I don't know. There's just a lot of things that I think are kind of problematic, I think, going on with BLG. And I'm just not loving what I'm seeing from them at the moment. Heading over to LNGWBG. Feels weird to say. Just say Weibo. I was on Weibo. I feel like I said Weibo 2-0. Weibo, obviously to drop a map, it was going to be a close series, I think, always. But Weibo got the job done 2-1. Again, I was talking about we've yet to see LNG be an elite team, and I think that kind of reared its head a little bit here. I just feel like we've seen Weibo beat like the other three top teams now. So we look at Weibo, who they've beaten. They beat LNG here. They beat EDG here. They have a V5 victory, I believe, somewhere here. Yep, yeah. So they beat everyone else at the top at the moment. I don't know. Have they? No, they have RNG coming up. Have they played BLG? They lost to BLG, so that was their loss. But Weibo was a team I was kind of heavily against and have been kind of fading all year. But it's definitely looking like maybe they're kind of emerging as the top team at the moment, which is kind of weird to say. You guys know my stance on this team, and more specifically, especially on The Shy. I feel like The Shy is like perennially overrated, and I don't think he's been performing that well. But he's been an important piece, and he's actually looked pretty good, at least in the past couple series. And I feel like they're really starting to kind of separate themselves from the pack at the moment. It feels like every other team is shaky a little bit, but I think it's between them and V5, and that's certainly what the standings would suggest as well. Obviously, I still think I like a lot of these other teams. I think the top six here, I would say BLG, RNG, LNG, EDG, V5, and Weibo, those are all, I believe, are still like championship contending teams. It just kind of comes down to who will get hot at the right time, sort of thing. But I think at the moment, V5 and Weibo are looking the most consistent and kind of a step ahead of everyone else. But I still think LNG are elite still. But we actually have like three close games, I think. We'll see what the odds are looking like, but I think these will be fun to at least look at and break down. So quickly we can run through our rosters, because I think these are actually going to be pretty important. Thunder Talk, LGD are keeping with Jay in the mid lane. He looked pretty good in their series for them. This will be an interesting one to talk about, but quickly we can just get through the rosters. Kind of same for here for ALJDG. Everything's looking normal. Then I think the big thing comes in here with FPX. They get Beishuan back over Klid. We'll talk about this a little bit more when we get there, but I'm actually super pleased with this. I'm super excited. Well, I can probably bring it up and break it down with the here we can do, I think we just do it this way. Like Klid has just been losing and Beishuan is winning. Like I don't know how else to put it, but when you have a 70% win rate jungler who gets benched and then they bring in Klid who has 35.5%, like it's just not good. Like I don't know. It's just weird. I'm just glad to have him back again. I'm not entirely sure what to make of FPX as a whole, just because they have been trending downward, and I was skeptical of Klid coming in the first place, and then they looked bad. I don't know. I just don't know if one player makes that big of a difference. I'm just skeptical in that aspect with the jungler swap there. I do think jungle is obviously a huge important role. I'd imagine Beishuan is a pretty significant voice within this team. Most junglers are, but it's just weird. Like you see the splits there with like Klid having such a low win rate and then Beishuan having a good win rate, and these are decent sample sizes, like 10, 14 games. That's like 4 series at least. Maybe 5. But that's at least 4 series there, and it's hard to say like they're just going to be back and they're going to be looking good. Like I would argue that when they were winning and they were going crazy with Beishuan, they were like a top 4 team. Then they fell down pretty significantly, and I don't know if they're just going to instantly jump back to that point, but we'll have to look and see. The first series, Thunder Talk LGD, this one is actually going to be super intriguing. These are, I don't know about everyone else, but I still get excited for these like bottom tier versus bottom tier teams. They always bring some good amount of action and always a lot of like volatility and underdog potential there. Just overall, I just look forward to these bad team versus bad team matchups. If we look at how Thunder Talk have been performing, they've been a team that I've been on a few times now. I guess it'd just be twice. I liked them over TES. Obviously got stomped so hard, was laughably not even close, and they lost it 3-game series to Thunder Talk since the player swap. So since they've swapped to Chieftain and UCal, I believe they're 0-6. Again, it's still, I feel like it's a little hard done on the TT guys, because like I don't know, it's like I don't want to say like RA are decent now, but you look at RA, like they beat RNG, they beat LGD, they beat Thunder Talk. It looks like they're kind of on a run, so it's a little tough to say like Thunder Talk losing to RA was that big of a deal, because of RA actually playing pretty decently at the moment, I guess. So I don't know. Who was the RA game? It was RA LGD is the one I watched like in a call with somebody, and they said this is the 2 worst teams they've ever seen play, and I don't know why. I just feel like that kind of stuck with me, and the macro in that LGD have displayed so far has just been so dismal. I mean, I don't think Thunder Talker is significantly better, but I don't know. This one's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna be. I actually have like no idea where the odds will actually be for this, but doing the exercise again here, making our own odds. I'm gonna pick the. I think LGD should probably be like the favorite here. Again, I feel like I'm probably gonna end up liking Thunder Talk. I like them. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like kind of a fish here, and I'm just kind of buying into their names a little bit too much. But it's just hard to imagine that, like Chieftain, UCal, Puff, Southwind, New, like Puff, Southwind, and New were looking decent with their kind of like substitute jungler and mid laner, and then they bring in Chieftain and UCal. You just have to imagine that that's going to be a upgrade. Like you have to imagine that they're going to get better at least a little bit. They haven't been looking like that so far. UCal specifically has been extremely disappointing. He was like a top LCK mid laner. Like if I was going to compare him to somebody, I would say like a few years ago, you would argue that he's like around the level like Fofo or Yagao maybe. I don't know. Yeah, Angel, maybe somebody like that, like a good but not great mid laner. And I was hoping for something at least on that level, maybe a little bit less for UCal, but UCal looks so bad. He's quirky packages, his engages, he's just looked really, really, really bad individually. And I just can't imagine that they'll be that bad for that long. I don't know. But I'd expect LGD to be the favorite. Just because of what we've seen from Thunder Talk, they've looked so lifeless, so helpless so many times that it's hard to imagine them getting credit. But again, this is a battle of really bad teams. We're looking at 15 versus 17 here. 2 series victories in 16 attempts for these teams. That's to be 17, but 2 really, really bad teams here battling for the bottom of the league. And I don't know. I think Thunder Talk are probably just a little bit better, and I just kind of hope that they kind of pull it together. I just feel like they are better everywhere except for probably top lane. I definitely give Fearness some credit. I think Fearness is actually a pretty good individual player, but I feel like TT should have bottom lane advantage. UCal versus Jay. It sounds crazy, but this might genuinely be a wash just with how bad UCal's been, and I was actually pretty impressed with Jay in his first series. Chieftain versus Shadow. I guess maybe you could argue this is a slight lean to LGD side with Sean Shadow, but Shadow is just so volatile, and it feels like he could lose you like as many games by himself as he's gonna win you. So I just like maybe the stability there with Thunder Talk. Like they actually had some good like proactive mid plays. Like while New, Puff, and Southwind were kind of running it down in their last series against RA, they were actually getting like advantages mid lane. So hopefully they can just not int top and bottom. And I think this Thunder Talk players should be able to step up a little bit, and I like them. But I think overall LGD have probably shown us just a little bit more. So that'll be for that one. JDGAL. This one's actually super hard to get an idea of where AL are. So I want to close with these because I don't like looking at that data that old. I'm going to try to keep it to post break. As you guys can see, they didn't play from January 27th to February 10th. I don't know what is it, like 2.5, 3 weeks or something. But I just felt like they swapped patches in between then as well. They went from patch 12.1 to 12.2, which is what they're currently on. So just feels like a great breaking point to make that distinction. There we go. But we were like, we were getting some like good results from AL. Like, I mean, you would argue beating Ultra Prime and RA aren't that impressive. Then they took a game off of LNG. It's hard to say like taking a game off somebody is that impressive just with how volatile and how unpredictable the LPL has been lately. But I mean, you have to kind of give them some credit, you know. it's just really hard to make the case for them. Like they looked so unbelievably bad in the BLG series, and I do understand BLG is a top 5 team, top 6 team maybe, um, and AL were kind of trending upwards. I don't know. It's just tough. Like there's this cycle with AL where like the second you believe in them, they'll let you down. The second you count them out, they'll be good. And this is a spot where I kind of count them out. I don't know. It's just really tough. And you guys, I'm sure, understand that I am an AL fan. I say this literally every video, but I like this roster, like these players, like this team, like everything about AL. And like I said, like it's kind of just like a roller coaster of like opposite of expectations. It's like a old school CLG, if you guys understand, where the second you think they're doing good, they're just going to let you down. The second you think they never have a chance, they pull it out of a hat. And this kind of feels like a similar situation. Like, when we were talking about AL going into this BLG series, I did like AL to have a chance in this at the upset here. Mainly just because they had a couple wins and then a close series loss to LNG. Then they play this like super slow style against BLG, but I think that actually there's something to be like kind of learned from the BLG games from yesterday. Like I understand WE is also a really, really bad team. But it's looking like BLG just kind of have an elite, almost like one of a kind level of macro where they could be so far behind in kills and stuff and still pull out like gold advantages and look really good. I feel something similar to where AL were just unable to find anything and force anything, and it felt kind of like a BLG just countered them really hard. I would say a equivocal comparison is if you take like a UFC fighter, and if you say AL is like a forward pushing brawler where you're just throwing punches, and hopefully you can get the knockout, and if he doesn't, then he's just gonna, gas out and lose the fight. And it felt like BLG were a perfect counter to that, where what they excel at is backing up, not getting hit, being a really good defensive fighter, counter punching, that kind of thing. So it felt like a real extreme stylistic mismatch towards the BLG side. Of course, they also just have like the individual player mismatch. There's no doubting that either. So it comes down to, where do we think JDG stands? So JDG, they lost to IG. Obviously, it kind of looks now like IG are kind of picking up the pieces. IG's looking a lot better since the break. They beat RA, went to 5 with V5, or went to 3 with V5, went to 3 with BLG, won the series. Got swept by EDG. Obviously, not a big to do when you lose to EDG, as we know. And then IG got the win over JDG. So maybe it's looking like IG is decent. But that's 2 straight losses here for JDG, both to Top Esports and IG, who I don't rate very highly. I still don't like IG or TES. I still don't rate either of those teams highly. OMG, this is kind of where the problem is, because like OMG versus AL, you would definitely like OMG over them. You definitely like OMG over anyone's legend, and I like JDG a lot over OMG. So it just comes down to like what kind of style and what kind of matchup do we expect here? JDG versus anyone's legend. I'm honestly not entirely sure. I feel like we've seen JDG play different styles and different things before. Maybe JDG will kind of have the game plan on how to beat AL, which is just force them into a macro game. Don't take any big team fights where you can give AL a chance to show their prowess. Pretty much the game plan would be, again, going back to the like UFC analogy of just don't engage with them, don't let them hit you, don't get into a brawl, just stay back, kind of touch them, and don't get into this crazy brawl. the problem, I just don't know if JDG can kind of resist it. I feel like JDG is definitely can like lend themselves to being in some brawls. Um, Lining it up, I definitely think JDG should be the deserved favorite. I think they're definitely the better team. It just comes down to kind of how much. I think JDG minus 300 sounds about right. I like both of these teams. I feel like JDG have been kind of underrated. Again, all the rosters staying the same. It's just I just don't know. Like, I feel like I want to take the AL shot. Like I said before, the second you doubt AL, like we were building AL up, they were looking good, and then they got knocked down pretty heavily. And then when they come back and have nothing to lose, they're just playing free. They're taking these fights. They're being super aggressive. That's when they come in and shine. And the second you douse AL is the second they win. So it's just like the kind of like catch-22 there with this series. I'm not loving either side. You would argue that if you're not liking either side, then you could just take the underdog shot. I think that's fair. If you guys have a hard lean, just kind of go with it, because I don't have one in this series really. We already have an underdog I like a decent amount. Well, I don't even know if they're actually an underdog, but I'd assume so. And Thunder Talk, JDG AL. I don't know. Like, at the end of the day, like, when you're a fan of a team like AL, you just want to make AL lineups so that, when you're watching the games, you have like double vested interest and you just want to root for AL. You don't want to root against your team. So that part of that comes into play. I don't know. We'll have to look at the whole slate before we get an idea. FPX RA, again, going back to FPX getting Beishuan back. Yeah, I am a little hesitant on just saying like, oh, Beishuan's back, they're going to go back to the elite team that they looked like when Beishuan was there. But I definitely think they're still like a good bit better. And I just feel like I feel like although RA have been, kind of winning games and they look better, they got a big upset over RNG. I just cannot say like RNG or RA are good. I just still feel like there's so many problems and they've looked so terribly bad sometimes. And I am kind of leaning more on the side of FPX are back rather than on the like maybe they're just kind of figured out side. I just feel like they looked so good with Beishuan and then they swapped junglers again. I still don't really know why they did that. I don't know what compelled them to do so. But I still feel like, Beishuan made them look good. I think they were looking a lot better overall. And it's just kind of hard to ignore the gigantic win rate gap that lied between the junglers. Like, Beishuan was quite literally statistically winning twice as often. So I kind of have to assume that they're going to improve from where they were. And I think RA are kind of like have picked it up a little bit, but I still feel like they've looked so bad so many times that that's kind of the side that I'm leaning on. LCK. We can do LCK. You guys know I don't like LCK that much at the moment. Extremely random COVID stuff happening. I believe with the Hanwha side, I don't know what's going on tonight. I think all of these rosters are fine for now. I'll just kind of quickly run through these because I just don't like the LCK. I don't think it's that important really. Genji Nongshim. I think this is definitely Genji favored, probably a good amount. I just think Genji are kind of like actually a super elite team. They have been having to deal with COVID stuff, playing like bringing up challengers players, going in and out, up and down, that kind of stuff. So I feel like they're kind of getting a little bit of disrespect here. I feel like Genji are like a legit elite team, like world's contending elite. Obviously super early on, but I think the point still stands that Genji are super strong. Although I do like Nongshim, I do rate them pretty well overall when they get their full roster. But I still think And if memory serves, I think they did bring back up Peter to replace Effort, and that's when they've looked good, is when Peter was playing and that kind of stuff. So I do like Nongshim going forward. I will like them a good bit against like Sandbox here. I think that's a pretty good spot for them. But Genji I think is just way too good. So that's kind of the where I'm lending there. Damwon Kwangdong. I kind of have a feeling here with. Yeah, we'll just go with like that. That was my initial idea. Oops, what am I doing? So I think Damwon are definitely significantly better. I just have a weird feeling here where these teams are actually maybe like closer than it looks. Damwon let me down pretty heavily against T1. So I don't know. I just feel like maybe I'll kind of have to like eat the what term is I'm looking for? Maybe I'll just have to like kind of eat my lumps there. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I'll just have to like accept that maybe Damwon weren't quite there and they weren't quite ready for that. And if anything, Kwangdong have been like looking better. Like they're the ones trending upwards. I mean, Damwon did just sweep them 2 weeks ago, so it's not ideal. But I don't know. I just have a feeling with this series like that. Like Kwangdong actually like kind of impressed me in the past series against KT. I mean, obviously KT is like a good bit worse than Damwon. Like I'm not arguing that really, but I still think the point, like I don't know. I can't explain it logically or anything, but I just have a feeling that Kwangdong maybe gets the better of Damwon, or it's at least close. So I'm not liking this series at all. I probably wouldn't have gotten there anyway. I think from a DFS standpoint, I'm fading all the LCK altogether. We can look at the team stats. Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's compare odds. Sorry. You guys see I have golf up on the other monitor there. Just sweating some fun stuff. But LGD, slight favorite over TT. Yeah, that makes sense. This is about what I was expecting, about the same price here. I think this is fair. I think this is super fair. I was maybe expecting a little bit more love there, but I'm arguing 15 points. It's a pretty accurate. But like I was talking about earlier, I think Thunder Talker this side with a little bit more upside. I like them a good bit. Bad team versus bad team in the LPL, you're definitely going to want exposure to this series overall. If you're multi lineup guys, I know a lot of people are. I don't know why, I can't explain it, but I just cannot make lineups where I have people on opposite teams. I cannot have a Thunder Talk lineup and an LGD lineup. I don't know. I just feels like going in ensuring losses just doesn't feel good. Not for me. So if I'm gonna be on this series, I'm gonna be on the Thunder Talk side, and I just think they maybe have a little bit more to show, but I feel like we kind of know what we have from LGD. JDG AL, yeah, this seems about right. That's kind of the sentiment that I was on. Again, I don't know, there's definitely no arguing that JDG is a better team. They definitely suit up well against AL. I just don't know. What JDG's like. How I'm gonna have to look at what tab am I looking for? Oh, here we go. I need to look at how JDG's getting down. Actually, we'll just do this. Let's look at the combined kills per minute. So JDG's actually up there. I don't know. All right, I'll go ahead and say I'm probably just gonna end up on anyone's legend. I always kind of will. I mean, obviously, feel free to just fade this because I'm an AL fan, bias, all that, whatever. Guys would probably just think I'm kind of crazy here, but I don't know. JDG's last loss, I don't know, just kind of stuck with me, and I'm not sure. I don't remember specifics, but I just remember being pretty disappointed with JDG. what is it? It was their loss to Top Esports, I think. Oh, and they lost to IG. So it's like, I feel like when you put it in the context of the league, I feel like IG, Top Esports, and AL aren't that far apart. Like I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy here. Probably, it is what it is. But I mean, like, I just don't think like Top Esports and IG and AL. I feel like they're all kind of in the same area in the league, and IG and TES managed to get the better of them. I could see AL doing the same. Hopefully AL are back to what got them there in the first place. Hopefully they're not, changing it up, and hopefully AL's not trying to out macro like they were in the BLG series. And from the looks of JDG being one of the most active teams in the league, a .93 combined kills per minute, that's super high. Let's look on this patch. JDG's up there pretty heavily, .98. That's a lot. So I think looking at that stat, we get the idea that JDG are there to fight and there to tango. So it looks like it's gonna be like a more brawler versus brawler matchup. Obviously JDG should be the deserved favorite, but we've seen AL. We know their conditions to win. Their conditions to win are getting these team fights, out team fighting, and gaining leads that way. They're obviously not going to out macro and navigate their way around the map better than JDG. I don't think that's their win condition. Hopefully they realize how they can win, and just start doing these team fights. That's the idea and the reasoning I have for leaning the AL side. Starting off with 2 underdogs is kind of scary, but luckily the favorite I do have up next, I am feeling a little good in. I guess quickly before, like, on the AL JDG side, I think this is definitely another game where you're going to want to be a part of. I'd imagine JDG would be like the most owned team on the slate. They're going against the AL, who's a notable proactive team. JDG, like I just showed, had pretty impressive like stats as well. So I think this is a series you're going to want to be a part of. I'm just going to be on the AL side. They're priced like as a pretty big underdog. When that happens, the ownership gets suppressed. It just should be a brawl, and a brawl is the environment where AL thrive. So that's just kind of where I'm at. I'll take my shot. I'll take my underdog shot, and kind of let it ride. If it beats me, it beats me. It's definitely been happening, but I feel like the reasoning is sound enough. If you guys don't agree, then that's fine as well. FPX RA, the third LPL series of the night, should be also pretty good, but I'm really having high hopes and hoping that FPX get back to the earlier signs that we saw with Beishuan over Klid. I feel like I kind of touched on this earlier when I was talking about the lineups and stuff, but I just feel like RA have been looking so bad. They're significantly worse, like macro wise. They've looked outclassed significantly in a lot of these matchups. I know they did get like the upset win over RNG. They actually are on like a 3-game winning streak over LGD and TT. But I still feel like they like arguably shouldn't even have won versus the game 3 versus LGD. I don't remember RA Thunder Talk necessarily. But I don't know. I just feel like they're still like pretty bad, regardless of like their recent results. So, I'm just gonna ride with FPX. Hopefully, they return more to how they were looking with Beishuan. And I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't necessarily agree with these odds. I feel like odds wise, it should be a little closer. But I'm still liking FPX. I'm liking their ability to bounce back. Hopefully, they're again kind of closer to what they were looking like with Beishuan, which I thought was like a legit like top tier team. and we'll wait and see. I think these are all like pretty close series, honestly. Despite the odds looking like a little wide for the second and third series, I feel like they're pretty close. So, pretty excited for that. Just quickly, Genji Damwon, I had them both price minus 300. They're both price minus 300 ish. Genji's a little bit more favored, but I just rate Nongshim a little bit more highly, I guess, than most places and most people would. So that's kind of the discrepancy in the odds there. But I think the sentiment is still the same. I'm gonna be super surprised, or I'm gonna be interested in seeing how these odds and stuff break down, or like how ownership will look, because I don't feel like any of these LPL like games are safe on any side. It feels like Genji are fairly safe to get like a sweep. Feels like Damwon are. I don't feel enough Damwon are that safe, but I don't know how many people are gonna get to like Genji on this slate. So we can take a look at how the stats are looking. So we have Damwon, Nongshim, Genji, Kwangdong. And then I'm going to set this to only February. Because I believe that's just, should just separate the, like post breaks. That's pretty much all the information I'm looking to have. I don't know about everyone else, but that's I like having recent, but a good amount. So, let's see. We had JDG, Anyone's Legend, FPX, LGD, Thunder Talk. Who's the last team? RA. All right, so we can already see like straight off the bat, the LCK just not even close to the LPL at the moment. We have like JDG at a 0.98, LGD at a 0.97, and then like we have Damwon, Kwangdong, like all these teams down here. Damwon at a 0.54. I mean, it's tough. Although Genji's numbers are looking pretty good, I think Genji are probably live. I think especially when you look at like the top laner, like one off. I think Doran will probably be pretty popular, but I think he makes sense because I think this, they're looking pretty decent here with the combined kills per minute. So Genji's probably the only thing I'm looking at in the LCK at all. Looking at these games overall, JDG, AL, first and third, they're up there a good bit. Looks like Thunder Talk and FPX are a little slow, but FPX RA is looking like the worst series, but LGD, Thunder Talk are looking good. AL, JDG definitely up there pretty high. Looking pretty good. Let's look at wins for our boys. Obviously, AL doing super great in wins. FPX and Thunder Talk are a little bit lower, so definitely going to want to load up on some AL if you're leaning that side. JDG up there as well, so definitely going to want a part of this series. Who's giving it up in losses? Looks like JDG and LGD are dying a lot in losses. So that's probably where you want to go. So if you're like me and you're loading up on these underdogs, I like AL and Thunder Talk, especially with JDG and LGD looking like giving up over a kill a minute, not exactly a death a minute. The combined kills per minute is over 1 when they're losing. So what is this, 90 deaths in 4 games? Quick math, what is that, like 22 and a half or something? 20, yeah, something like that. I don't know. But like they're giving up a lot of deaths. Same thing with this LGD spot. What is this, 15 deaths a game? 15 deaths a game there. So that's not as much. Looks like maybe LGD are just kind of putting up more of a fight. Maybe that's what it looks like. But the point still stands. Like they're getting down. Those are going to be pretty intriguing series. So I'm looking forward to that. But now that we have our teams and we we have our teams and we know where we're wanting to target. I'm going to set this to just 12.2. Again, I kind of just want the what's recent. We don't want stuff that's from like early January. Feels like the kind of a whole new league since then. So sending just the patch to 12.2. We like anyone's legend. I'll go with Thunder Talk, but again, I leave these links in the description for you guys if you guys want to run whatever teams you're liking. But this is just what I'm leaning, so we'll do that, and then I'll throw in Genji as well. I keep forgetting that I need to put anyone's legend, and then I need to put in a patch 12.3 here because the LCK actually is on 12.3 as well. So all right, we got all 4 of our teams in. We look at who's up there participation wise. Again, this is usually the first thing I do when I get to this page is look at groupings of players, because then we know who's team fighting, and typically team fighting leads to more overall kills. So Xiao Hao, Betty, Forge, all up there, top 3 of the top 4, looking pretty good there. Again, Clid's not going to be playing, but I feel like you could kind of just put in Beishuan's name here for Clid. I would expect Beishuan to be up there as well. So we look at participations. We see New is really far down there, not looking good for him. I liked AL a lot. Xiao Hao, Betty, Forge can be pretty important. Choto's not looking great. I think so. This is probably super clustery because of the LCK stuff. So let's go position by position. That'll probably give us a better idea, and we can kind of look at things a little bit more clearly. So for top lane, Doran, Zhelo, who I would say ZDZ isn't even looking that bad either, but it's not looking great. I think Zhelo, whose massive kill share is going to be pretty important here. And I believe he's going against... Yeah, he's going against Cube, so that's a little concerning there. But Doran's going against Kana, so neither of these top laners get great matchups. I think the upside is maybe with ZDZ, just because we know 369, we know how bad he can be. He has potential to give up a lot of deaths as the top laners occasionally, obviously. That's the meme. He either rolls a 3, 6, or 9. He either plays really good or really bad. And sometimes in between. That's the 3, the 6, and the 9 out of 10. I feel like all 3 of these top laners are fine. I would say definitely not New. Definitely would not get there at the 38% kill participation. That's super, super bad. But again, Doran and Zhelo, whose stats are really good, but matchup isn't quite there for me. So it's just kind of whatever fits for the top lane. Looking at jungle, with Xiao Hao, huge numbers. He's going to be super important. Chieftain, I feel like junglers are all kind of interchangeable. It's just kind of whatever stack you have, you want your junglers to be a part of. And super big numbers for Xiao Hao. I feel like Clid's numbers are probably comparable to what we could expect from Beishuan. Chieftain looking good. I mean, they're all 70% kill participation, so that's fine. That's kind of like all you need, is you just need some kill participation. Heading over to mid, this actually gets a little bit more interesting. I mean, they're all about the same, but the big outlier here is Chovy's huge 36% kill share. So he's racking up the kills and obviously a very comparable kill participation. So it's looking like Chovy standing out a little bit. Yukal with a really large kill share number as well, and he's not that far behind. So all mids are viable. They're all looking decent. Again, it just kind of depends on how you're building and like what stacks you're going with, that kind of stuff. So that's good to keep in mind. For ADCs, they're all about average except for Betty, who's just going to obliterate these numbers. 39% kill share, nearing 40, 78% kill participation. So and that's something we've kind of already known, and that's something we definitely, keep in mind. is if AL win, it's going to be through Betty. Betty's had some huge numbers in the past. I I do continuously get concerned that people are just going to ban Jinx because he looks to be like a super insane, extreme high level Jinx, but doesn't look like the same player, off that champion. So that's the concern there. But they're all looking viable. But Betty's numbers are just absolutely incredible. For supports, it's looking like the same champion or the same player in all these aspects. The thing with supports at the moment is I actually think there is a strategy that I've been liking when trying to pick supports. Obviously, it depends on who you're pairing it up with and how the roster is looking overall. But for supports, I want to get that sweep bonus like above everything else. I don't know, like if you play somebody like Betty and it goes 3, he can definitely get there just off of like the sheer amount of like kills, assists, that kind of stuff. But just with how support is playing and just like with how much damage there is in the game, it's just looking like so many supports will like go in and die and they won't even get all the assists in the fight. Mainly in this meta, just because we're getting a lot of like Nautilus, Leona, some Alistar here. We have a lot of Set from Hong. They just like go in and die, don't even get the assists. So if they lose a game, and this has definitely been happening a lot more recently, where a support on a losing team will just like continuously try to make plays and they'll end with a score of like 0-7-6 or something. Like they'll have like 7 deaths, 5 assists, 0 kills. Like they're putting up like single digit DraftKings points in a map. So what I want in my supports right now is I just need that sweep bonus. I need them to have like a okay game and give me like half their points in sweep bonus. Like that's kind of what it's feeling like at the moment. I don't know. It's just kind of tough overall for supports, especially in these closer, bloodier matchups. Like how I'd imagine all these LPL games are going to be pretty close and bloody. It's going to be tough. Like I feel like there's going to be one of these 3. I feel like if AL, JDG go 3, we're going to see a really bad Chocho game that's going to kill his score. I mean, there is the upside that they have crazy fiestas and they all put up numbers. That's definitely a possibility. But I just feel like the safer, more general option is to try to get like the sweep bonus from the supports. I definitely like Lehens for that. I like Hong for that. I probably wouldn't get to Southwind or Chocho, but again, I think they're still fine. It just feels a little riskier that the way with how scoring you can rack up deaths and kill your DraftKings score that quickly. So that's what I'm leaning at the moment. Been talking a while. My voice is kind of giving out. So yeah, I mean, actually super excited for this. I don't know how I'm going to build or how I'm going to construct these lineups. I actually kind of like, like 4 of these spots. Like I like AL, I like TT. FPX is a little concerning here, but I like them as well. I like Genji. I don't know. It's tough. I definitely like the AL and TT sides. Like, if you guys want to be a little bit safer, go with the Thunder Talk side. Those odds are obviously a lot closer. So, kind of do what you guys want to do at the end of the day. You guys are making your lineups. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. Like, I say I'm typically a one lineup kind of guy. I just want to make one lineup and kind of sweat it out. And you could argue that's maybe like more of a for fun mindset, but I feel like AL are looking good. They have a good shot. I want to be a part of them. TT, similar boat, looking decent. Want to be a part of that underdog train. FPX, their numbers aren't great. Might be I'll probably want to be a part of them, but again, their numbers weren't looking ideal, and there's just something there with that series that I'm not feeling great with. I feel like FPX RA maybe goes 3, and I will regret having so much FPX, but I don't know. We'll see. And then Genji, I like them to get the sweep. I think this is a low-key, like, good series for LCK scoring. So Genji will probably be the team that I'll want to pair up with my AL and Thunder Talk. Although I might end up having to get some FPX in there as well. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I'll build, but that's where I'm leaning. Go Thunder Talk 2-1. Again, probably pretty close. I'll go Genji 2-0. I think they're a super elite team. I'm liking the Genji roster a lot. AL JDG. I'll take AL in 3. Probably underdog. Crazy underdog pick here. Probably delusional AL fan, but you know, at the end of the day, I kind of went over my reasonings. I feel like this is brawler versus brawler. This is an environment where AL excels, so I'll take this shot with my boys there, and they've done it for me in the past, so we'll give them a chance here. I'll go Dom 2-1. I actually have a weird feeling about this series overall, but I don't want any part of it. I just know that much. And then I'm going to go FPX 2-1. Again, there's just kind of like a weird feeling with this series. I feel like FPX, I just want to see them have a little bit better performance with Beishuan. I just want to know for a fact they're there. I'm probably just going to be late on FPX, which is fine. But, Cube was looking decent. Like RA, they're trending up, and I just feel like the odds should be a little bit closer there, it's just a little concerning. So that's just kind of where I'm at. So building will be interesting for me. I'm not sure where I'm gonna head, but like at least I have some takes and some leans, and should be an interesting slate to say the least. So good luck to you guys playing it all today. I believe we still have the rest of the weekend with the 3 gamers. Yeah, we have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all rolling out with these 3 gamers. So we're going to be pumping out content for those. I don't believe we have any Call of Duty this weekend. We actually are on the break until the March 3rd is when we get the COD League returning. So I'm looking forward to that, but that'll open up my time a little bit more for these League videos. So best of luck to you guys again tonight. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the League of Legends action, and best of luck.